Ah, okay, okay. Yes.
Don't worry, we usually share the royalties of all the events. I mean, that many of the money that we make through our YouTube channel, we share it with the speakers.
Okay, okay.
50
I would,
cents every 10 years.
but since like the first part of the talk is about money, so like I think that I don't need them. Perhaps.
Ricorda, te, dottorato, hai fatto in Sapienza? O era...
No, 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 I was in Tor Vergata, like
You're a trendsetter. So is the first Reddit user there supposed to be you?
yes, yes. I remember that the first time I showed this Reddit user, it was at CCS Palma, and in the audience there were the sons of Fariba, Professor Karimi, and they were super impressed. Oh, I like. They say like, I like your talk, and I was like, thanks.
Well, next time you should wear something like the little, bonbon.
Yeah, yeah. I have to buy it. I have to buy it. And yeah, in Oxford is like raining right now, right?
You should just guess or. Well, I mean, it was nice till this weekend, and then this last couple of days. I mean, it's not raining, it's just a big rain, but
Okay.
still doable, and the temperature is nice.
But it was summer on Sunday.
But it was summer on Sunday, like over the weekend, so
Oh, okay, nice.
probably better this way than the other way around. Like, I've been rain over the weekend. Yeah, okay, so I think. Let me just close the door. Okay.
I'm sorry.
Always. Okay, so welcome back everyone to another network seminar. Today, our speaker will be Antonio Desiderio, who did his PhD at Tor Vergata, is a physicist by training, but has been interested in so many different aspects of complex system in general, and in particular networks. And right now is doing his postdoc in Copenhagen with Laura Alessandretti and Sune Lehmann. And well, today you said in the email you sent us when describing your talk, you said fritto misto, but I will not say what that is, but basically a mix of all different aspects of dynamics in social systems and urban systems, right? Well, thank you, Antonio, for accepting our invitation, and take it away.
Actually, thank you for the invitation. Thanks, for like having me here. I try to not bother you that much. So first of all, like this is not only my work. It's the work that I did during my PhD with a lot of other PhD students, and also like supervised by Professor Cimini in Tor Vergata and Riccardo Di Clemente at the Northeastern University of London. And also like other people that I met around, like Professor Aiello, Alessandretti, and Cimini. Like, and as so like first things is that if I don't mind if you interrupt me if you have any kind of question, because maybe I will not give you like so many details of all the things, and feel free to ask. And also, if you have problem with the name Antonio, you can call me Tony. It's not a big problem. I know that some people get problem with the lot of N in my name. So feel free to interrupt and at any point of the presentation. So like as Nicola was introducing me, like I'm a physicist by training, and if you read the abstract, you saw that basically we are gonna talk mainly of social system, and it was pretty hard like to explain to my physics department why I wanted to do these things. do this kind of analysis. Also, like, because like my background is in physics, but I've started actually in quantum field theory. So like they were quite surprised by my shift. And and also like the first part of this talk is going to be around Reddit, and also the GameStop short squeeze. And actually, like I found a man that give a proper definition of what is Reddit, why it's relevant to do this kind of analysis from a complex system scientist, let's say, and yeah, it's also related to the first part of the talk. Like basically, Reddit, given by this definition by Dogecoin founder, like Reddit is for assimilating into a hive mind of idiots. And hive minds are for sure interesting because like we can understand how a group of individuals work together, perhaps in a highly coordinated and connected fashion, and also to understand how collective phenomena emerge. And also like there are, fortunately or unfortunately, let's say, out there are idiots that basically outplayed Wall Street. So like, I don't know if you know the story, but the GameStop short squeeze in January 2021 was the first time in history that we saw such a sizable and coordinated retail movement that target hedge funds. So the story so far is the following. GameStop is a retail company which was struggling due to e-commerce and even more for the pandemic. And in 2020, GameStop price was around $5 per share. So many hedge funds starts to short sell GameStop, meaning they will do profits out of price decreasing. But if we buy a lot of shares, so on the market, there are no shares, we create a high demand and the price must go up. If the price goes up, well, hedge funds have two possibilities, either to close their position or to hold. And clearly, like this can go on till a break point where actually like it's the end of January 2021 when we observe that one share of GameStop was better than Tesla, for instance. So the Wall Street Bets community cooperate to buy and hold the stock GameStop to trigger the short squeeze. Also, what is interesting to me is that basically these things is happening right now. Like the guy that is behind this GameStop short squeeze, that is called Kate Gill, tweeted after like 3 years of Yashus, and like the price of GameStop is now like something like $550 per share, and it's like a return of more than 100%. So like in a day, after like 10 tweets by this guy. So like it's the proper time to understand this event. So like what we did was to try to understand like looking into the conversation data for a signal of user interest to GameStop and model actually this growing engagement, aiming at qualitatively reproduce these explosive dynamics. And with the idea of like at least frame and characterize this event, we don't like money in physics department, so we don't do modeling to earn money. Okay, but like since we started from scratch, basically, like what is Reddit and what is the Reddit structure? So someone posts something and the other users interact below, generating this comments tree structure. Actually, like after 4 years of analysis of Reddit, I'm not sure whether like a post can be properly interpreted as a tree, but nevertheless, I mean, this is an old paper, so like, yes. And by looking at the growth of this tree, we can understand how the community is growing and changing, approaching the event. And like, as you can see, like there is a growing, let's say, overall engagement by the community, but also like the users are way more active from the plot on the right. But also one can do these things called destroy GPU, basically to plot what a Reddit day looks like. So here you have on the same scale a day of March 2020 and the 21st January of 2021. And each day you have these mega threads where people discuss their daily strategies, the daily discussion thread, and also what they are doing tomorrow. But on the right, you can see that the GameStop mega thread point that basically this sticker, this stock is monopolizing the conversation. And also this is a hint of how we can explore the conversation content. Since we are dealing with a community of traders, the occurrence of stock sticker in the text represents a first indication of what is the popular topic. So basically, we parse the text to find an interesting towards GameStop. And then we consider the daily Z score for the volume of shares, that basically the number of shares that are traded in each day, and of conversation. So the occurrence within the text. And as you can see from the yellow and green line, we see some peaks that corresponds to the major events of the GameStop saga that started basically like during way more like ago than way before January 2021. And also, as you can see, these peaks grow in time. However, they are always somehow a response to the event. So something is up and we pick up our phone and we talk on Reddit. And however, the Q3 earnings reports occurs 3-4 days before, pointing that there is an actually interest that's growing within the community towards GameStop. Taken together, I mean, this is only correlation. So how, like what I'm saying to you is that basically like these things are correlated, and this is something that we know given like the whole the literature that we have out there, like basically the papers by Susie Mott, Eugene Stanley, and so on and so forth. However, what we can actually try to understand whether they had a role actually in driving the financial markets and where they started by when this started basically. So I really like this picture that I found online that is basically like is used by people in by econometricians, where they say that basically they assume that the market are efficient, and so like basically they in the price there is the whole information of the regarding a stock. So for instance, however, here what we are saying is that there is something different, that basically people start to talk, start to coordinate it, and the money goes up. And what we did was basically also like to understand the role of other social media, because like, for instance, there is also Twitter out there. So what we try to understand whether Twitter had a role, or basically like, and we use Twitter somehow as a collective attention towards GameStop. So that like a sort of broader public attention on GameStop, while already, since basically, I mean, I don't know you, but I didn't know Reddit before January 2021, for instance. So like, for sure, also like financial market didn't know that much. It's something that you can find if you type on Google and you search like news related to the GameStop short squeeze, you may find something like this, like hedge funds started to hire people that had some knowledge of Reddit. So like after the GameStop short squeeze, so like they didn't know, okay, so for sure. So what we try to do is to assess potential causal relationship between Wall Street Bets, Twitter, and the trading volume using basically standard Granger analysis. As you can see from the red line, from Reddit to markets becomes significant 15 days before the squeeze and goes to zero after Elon Musk tweet about the community and broadly publicizing the action. And in fact, what we detect from the yellow line is a significant causal relationship from Reddit to Twitter following the Elon Musk tweet. However, like as I like to say, is this enough to say that Wall Street Bets user drove the price of GameStop? Or as you can talk of something, but this does not equate to ownership or acquisition of an asset. So what we did is, okay, so like this is somehow like we identify different phases of social media engagement towards the financial markets. That's basically a discussion phase, an action phase, and an attention phase, as I told you before. But as I was saying, like Reddit users provide evidence of their financial investment by posting screenshots of their accounts taken from trading platforms, which attest their position and movements. So what we did was like actually to estimate the financial position of Reddit user on GameStop using computer vision techniques. And by summing the position across all the users, we obtained the collective investment. And as you can see, I mean, like as the causal link unfolded, like this is, you can spot from here from January, like the collective investment of the Reddit community closely mirrored the market capitalization of the stock. And also it accounts like for 1% of the total market capitalization of GameStop, which I mean is not, they are money, okay? Like they are not like retail users. Like they invest a lot because they were a lot actually. Actually, what we did was also like try to understand like the role of the community. So like if you try to do these things that like basically like some scale relationship between the number of people that are posting a screenshot and the total market capitalization, what you can see is that basically like during this action phase, you observe a super linear relationship, basically that meaning that you are doing like the community is earning. So like you're doing well in posting. However, after Elon Musk tweeted about the community, and also like after like at the end of January, GameStop was halted. So basically, no one was able to purchase shares. What happens is that basically you observe a sublinear relationship. So basically, you are wasting money by publishing also like your position. Okay, so like the community is growing and changing, and there is an increasing interest to GameStop, and there are early signs of emerging consensus within the community. So like at the beginning, you both that you can interpret each post as a comment string, and out of this we can like actually project this post and create a user interaction network. So basically, if I'm commenting you, I'm linked to you. So like this is why I'm here at the network seminar, because there are also network in my presentation. Okay, so like we extracted this user interaction network, the reply to network, and then like you can run a model on top of these networks. Like, and what we did was actually propose a model of opinion dynamics with the idea that we can try to like to mimic this event, because like what we did is actually this this model that is nothing more than an extension of the voter model. So at each time step, each users interact with our peers, that is the left side of this chart, or with all the system. With probability 1 minus lambda, the user copies the state of a random neighbor. So this is standard voter model. And instead, with probability lambda, she follows the global field, aligning her opinion with the majority opinion. The idea is that depending on how much users are engaged with this collective cause, they're more keen on assuming a given opinion, if and only if this opinion is popular within the community. So if there is actual consensus in the community. So as soon, you can imagine the dynamics of this model. That is basically like, as soon as you get out of, imagine that you start with a configuration that is, the total magnetization is 0. As soon as you get out, you are driven by this global field that is aligning the opinion. But clearly, like this is governed by this parameter C that is in this chart. So like the idea is like there are evidence of an endogenous effect, and what we did was actually like to propose this model to capture this self-reinforcing mechanism in consensus formation that is happening in the community. As you may imagine, I mean, the model is fairly simple, but we actually like compute a lot of things, because like when you have a new model, you compute everything, and we have a lot of parameter, basically like lambda and C, and lambda is useless somehow. This is why we choose the Greek letter, because like as soon as lambda is not equal to 0, like we have our model. So lambda I mean, when you go to lambda to 0, like below 10 to the minus 2, 10 to the minus 3, you observe the standard voter model dynamics. So it's not super interesting. So what is interesting is the behavior respect to the parameter C. So the model exhibits a second order phase transition from disorder to order. And so like, this is on the left is basically the phase space on Erdos-Renyi random graph. And so like we start from a random configuration, and as soon as C is over like 8, you have consensus after like a time that we also compute the time to reach consensus. So like, but I mean, it's interesting somehow, like we solved the model analytically in the Mayfield limit, also random graph, but with this model, we wanted to mimic the GameStop event. So we need to do a numerical simulation of user-user interaction network. So we build these networks that I was telling you before for each month, and run simulation on them, and we found something very cool. Like in January case, there is a non-negligible level of consensus, also for very low value of C. So the clinical point is vanishing, and this vanishing occurs also for other processes on scale-free networks, because basically these are scale-free networks, like epidemic spreading or coordination gain. And as you can see, like from the grid distribution are more or less the same, although January has many super hubs. And also like something that to me is very interesting is that in January, the networks start to be disassortative. This is something that if you think of Barabashi model and so on, like you don't have disassortativity given like the assumption of the Barabashi model. Oh, well, okay, but I mean, there are these influencers, and this was like the one research question that was I am in this paper, but it wasn't my work. It has been done by Anna Mancini. That is a PhD student also from the University of Tor Vergata and the Fermi Center. And what she tried to use she wanted actually to find this influencer not only with these network features, but also like in introducing other features like post features, comment features. So basically taking into account the whole interaction of a user. So like when you post something on Reddit, you actually post something at a given time, replying to someone, and also with you are sharing something. I mean, the text is there is it's not just like me interacting at some point. Okay, so like what she did, so like create these features and try to cluster these users, and she was like very sad at some point. I mean, I like this story because it's so funny. I'm sorry, Antonio, I'm not able to find the influencer. And she was able just to find very stupid, sorry for the term, but I mean, very stupid profile of social role. Basically, people that are commenting only, people that are just posting, or people that are just active. And she wasn't able like to find this influencer that somehow we know that they were there. So like this is some sort of semi-supervised learning. And then like they are always in this noise that is computed from dbScan. And then at some point we were, okay, but let's cluster again the noise. So we create this sort of hierarchical clustering of noise to get a lot of actually like a social role, let's say, of like a profile of users on Reddit. So not only like we find not only influencers, but also analysts and bots. So like she was able actually like to reconstruct the whole structure of this community. And also she was able to link like each user, each influencer to the corresponding event, because it's not, unfortunately or fortunately, it's not only about GameStop, but also like Palantir and other stock. So like there are other influencers that drove the price of these stocks by posting something on Reddit. So like basically like to shift the focus of the community. But then, like, I mean, as you may imagine, we gather all the data of this community after also the games of skills, and she tried to find other influencer during after January 2021, and she wasn't able to find this influencer because after January 2021, basically on Wall Street Bets, there is nothing in a sense. Like basically, people are just sharing meme, and there is no more room for financial information because at the top you have just people talking of GameStop in an ironic way. So like basically they were just like for 2 or 3 years on Wall Street Bets, people are just cheering and happy of beating.
Stress everything.
Sorry?
It's okay, it's just accidental unmute.
Okay. So like going back to the model, what we can do with this model. So like the average opinion alone is somehow useless. We need to move from an intensive variable to an extensive variable because it's fundamental for the short squeeze the extent of consensus in terms of number of users. So that the more we are and we agree on an opinion, the more it's going to be a success. So we consider the total sum of opinions within a growing population with the level of consensus reached, likely attracted by the opportunity. So like what you see is that basically like the red line in the left plot is somehow similar to the blue line of the price. But also what we did was actually like to fit the price given the model. So we assume a mapping between the parameter C and some social media signals. And then back, we basically use a Bayesian linear regression model to fit the price. And as you can see, the red line is pretty good at fitting the price. So that somehow the model is good at least to capture the key ingredient of this event. As also like, I mean, this abrupt phase transition that we observe in the price is something that is happening within the community. So what we try to do is like actually to look at this opinion dynamics model to find something that can a statistical standard statistical physics approach to social dynamics. Okay, then something that I really like, it's, as I told you at the beginning, like the trading volume and the social media signals are somehow related. But as we know, on financial market, there are a lot of nonlinearities. You can compute, I mean, there is a whole field that I don't know too much. Sorry for that, but it's the econophysics, and you can compute somehow R's exponent, so whether there are memory effects in the signal and so on and so forth. And it's something that we know, like the price and the trading volume are intimately related, because as soon as the price goes up, a lot of people starts to buy, and so like the trading volume goes up. So that basically like the jumps between the price and the trading volume are correlated. What I did was like, okay, let's assume that basically like also this happened on the in the social system. So like something happens, we share this information online. And is it true? Yes, it's true. Like basically like the trading volume and Reddit are somehow two faces of the same coin, as you can see from the trended correlation analysis, from cross correlation analysis on the left, but also something that it's quite long to explain, that basically is the Sugihara causality that assume that basically like two signals are intimately related because they are from a dynamical system that we don't know, that we try to reconstruct this dynamical system. And so like we try to fit one signal from the reconstruction of the others. And as you can see from the subplot on the left, so like the blue and the orange line, since they are one, they're basically the same line. Reddit and trading volume add this sort of synergistic relationship that is much more high respect to the trading volume and the price relationship. Okay, so shifting a bit the topic, I have also, like, during my PhD, I did also analysis on mobility, and as you may imagine, like starting the PhD during 2020, what a PhD student's gonna work? For sure on pandemic, on COVID-19, but in a different way, in a sense. Like, basically, I'm not the one that's gonna convince you that basically COVID-19 was a problem that have disrupted human mobility with this non-pharmaceutical intervention, and this reshape our daily urban life. But here somehow we will use COVID-19 to understand how urban areas responded to this shock, this external shock, and what are the features that foster basically the recovery. We know that people routine were more predictable, spending less time in POI to minimize the point of interest, to minimize social contacts, and somehow they explore less the city. But we can build on this, since like individuals, by consistently favor a specific point of interest, they prioritize certain areas of the city. And this is, I mean, the city is already built, so it's nothing related to the COVID. So they prioritize areas that are more dense and also diverse of activities, because these areas are more attractive as they fulfill more of our daily necessities. Thereby, these areas possess greater resilience. And clearly, spatial proximity play a key role in where we go, work, and how we socialize. Thus, we would try to identify this interplay with POI visitation pattern and the hierarchical organization within the urban landscape in such a way that we leverage the COVID to identify this resilient area. Okay, so like this is a part that is not done by me, that is done by Robert Hire, that is now is a data scientist at FlowMinder. And what he did was basically like by prioritizing user privacy, he identified more than 60,000 popular point of interest using aggregated location-based signals from this company called Cubic or Spectus, spanning September 2019 to September 2020 across Italy. So like before and after the first lockdown. And then categorize each hotspot using OpenStreetMap. Then what he did was like to map this urban route to classify POI visitation profile pre and post lockdown using this unsupervised, let's say, methods called self-organizing map. And we choose this method for adaptness at detecting underlying patterns without assumption on the structure of the data by mapping them onto a lower dimension grid of neurons. So we identify 4 main profiles, and these are somehow like the cool things, and what is actually valuable out of this clustering method is that these results are in accordance with a supervised method used by the literature to identify different land use. But then we also apply we apply the same framework to identify the post-pandemic profile, and we found 3 main clusters that have also the same weekly visitation profile as the one identified by another group of researchers, that they use different data. So like also this is something valuable out of all this. But after all, with this unsupervised framework, we are able to map the visitation profile, and we can identify business that's recovered and not after the first lockdown. What we want to understand is actually like the factors that drive the recovery of this POI, and we do so by predicting the actual recovery class. And Robert tried to explain me a lot of time these methods that it's basically the ESG boost to predict the POI recovery profile, and also he used this idea of game theory, basically the SHAP value, to understand which are the features that are more relevant in predicting this category. So clearly, like what we did was actually to create two different models, one with all the features and one with just contextual feature. So like in the full model, the total number of visitation in the pre-lockdown period is what mattered the most, and it's evident why. Something that was popular still maintains its popularity afterward. However, in the restricted model, contextual features such as density and diversity start to be relevant. So what we try to do is somehow to make a sense of this surrounding of each POI. Since here, like when we compute diversity and density, we are just using the geographic distance. But as we know, I mean, in the audience, I feel that there are humans, and humans move between places using streets. And clearly, I mean, they don't fly in a city. I mean, geographic distance is good outside a city. So after like you move from a given distance from the center, you can observe that basically there is no difference between what we use, that is basically the distance on the street network, with respect to the geographic distance. So like the idea was like POI live in a city and their activities are interconnected within the urban topology, and we wanted to put urban topology in this analysis. So basically we want to leverage the topology of the urban street network to capture this possible interaction among the POI. And back, like the idea is, okay, then we can create this matrix, and then we can, let's use this word cluster, even though we didn't use clustering theory. So like first, we extract a weighted network of POI from the street network. Then we attempt to group this POI together based on local density. So basically, we just use percolation theory. We generate the hierarchical tree, and as you can see, I mean, this is a wonderful city. I'm biased. This is Naples, but this hierarchical tree identifies the scale at which clusters of POI begin to emerge. That is roughly corresponding to the size of the neighborhood. So at like this 200 meters, that is the neighborhood size, at least in the US, not in Italy, but I mean, we can use this as a scale. But then, I mean, this is just a tree, it's static. If we put information about POI, we can actually we found something that are consistent trends across cities. And here I'm just showing you one of these results, because to me it's the one that is actually most interesting. That basically the isolated POI are more likely to close at diverse thresholds, and at 200 meters, this is a factor of 2 bigger than the one that basically survive. So, and also like what we found is the survived POI merge into this large and more diverse cluster. Okay, now I'm, as Nicola was saying at the beginning, I'm paid to work on mobility, and I work on multimodal mobility. That even though the term multimodal can be easily misunderstood with something related to machine learning stuff that are done this period, like transformers, and this stuff, I'm basically trying to understand the different means of transportation that people can use to move around the city, and when they're like surrounding matters in how we move in a city. But still, like I'm working, like, even though I think I say this, that I've understood, I mean, at least after 3 years of working on Wall Street bets, I've understood not everything, but quite a lot of this event. But there is still something that it's not super clear to me, that is this idea of how actually like coordination can emerge in these online social networks that are defined in such a way that coordination, you need to do some assumption, like and also like you can measure, and so like you can prove this assumption that basically like coordination is a way to say that people like start to talk with each other, so like you can actually measure this and somehow made the relation with, at the beginning I told you that the social system or actually Reddit is an hive mind. We can make the map with the hive mind a bit closer, and this is something that I'm doing right now, and I think I finished. And also, like, I don't know if I'm on time, I hope. Okay, there are people clapping. I'll drink some water, sorry.
Of course, thanks, Antonio. Any questions in the room? I can start with one, because Antonio, can you tell me whether there's a within model interpretation of the parameter C? So you were showing that so lambda is clear from the model that it's choosing between the global or the local, but the parameter C, I wasn't sure what if there's like, when C is large, is there some meaning in the model of what that is? I didn't quite understand.
Basically when C is large, you are more likely to be aligned with the global field. So basically, if something is popular, you are jumping on the bandwagon. Actually, like what I can do is to I have what are called backup slides. Look, so like basically what you can see is here, like from the drift. As soon as C is bigger, like you are driven out of the initial configuration that is m equal to 0, so that basically like standard random.
Okay, thanks. Yeah, there's I also have one more, but if not, I have another one, so I'll keep going. The other question I had was about the well, you know a little bit about what I do, so maybe you can anticipate a little bit. So there's something about Reddit in particular in the way that comment trees or posts work that feels higher order. And so I guess I just wanted to ask you to speculate on whether it would be useful to model like these kinds of things in using some higher order type of structure. Because in some sense people are all talking to each other, but also in another sense they're not.
Yes, sure. I mean, but you can, I mean, I know that he's lifting paper to other people, but I can like this is what I do in the like put me in the acknowledgement. If you go on Reddit, like you can spot that there are higher order, okay? Like, but it's not. I mean, well, I'm sorry to say that. Like I was a bit. I'm curious of higher order because clearly it's the new things that is happening in network science, and also like I think that they are a cool approach to I mean, it's not the pairwise assumption is an assumption. We can test them. I mean, however, what wasn't too clear to me, it's basically like how many higher orders do we need, and also this is some ongoing conversation that I'm having with Jacobini from Northeastern, that basically like he had a paper where he put all possible higher orders in the model. So like here also, like what you can see is basically like at the end of this chain, you have user number 4, okay? And you can speculate that this is an higher order structure. And then you can project this, but then like the idea is that we run like a different model on these new networks somehow. That, in a sense, what I mean, what I am doing right now is somehow like, as I told you before, like I'm not sure that the comments tree, the post is a tree.
Yeah.
Okay, and it's for sure like a directed network. And then like what you can do is somehow like to understand the departure from the tree structure. Okay, because like for instance, no one is able to like also there is a paper by Filippo Menzer that is showing us that you cannot predict the tree structure either on Twitter or Reddit. So like basically like if these things these models of tree model are based on tree model, this is why they are not good at predicting this.
Yeah.
However, like how exactly we can like assess an higher order, like how to like only with these things that user number 4 is at the end of this chain, or we can do something different. Basically, like if you go inside the actual text, you can spot that basically user number 3, even though it's here, is answering to user number 5. But how exactly to capture these things, to me, is not super clear. But for sure, like I mean, I'm sure that in 6 months or something on Reddit is gonna be out about higher order, and I'm very curious about these papers because I mean but somehow to me it would be interesting also to go to temporal networks to understand how exactly the conversation flow is flowing. So like how exactly people are digesting information, and maybe like this approach is better to grasp something more that is basically like why people talk with each other online, because like
that was going to be the next question. No, I think because the user interaction network should be, or at least like the comments of a chronological order, you can easily have. I mean, you're not treating this as a temporal network as it is right now, right? Or do you?
No. Right now it's static. It's like 1 month, or also like I did also 1 week. It's 1 week. You project all this structure, and then like since you have the number of times each one is commenting, the people are commenting each other, you can also like validate the network. This is something I didn't say, but we also validate the network to be sure that it's statistically relevant and so on and so forth. But yeah, I mean, this is just static.
But yeah, so if it is static though, so do you take like the aggregate over? I'm not quite understanding then.
Like over a window of like let's say a month. So like you take all the posts and you start to count how many times each like user number 0 is commented by user number 4.
Okay.
And then but yes, I mean, as you were saying at the beginning, this structure can be easily interpreted as an higher order network. But I mean, then we can do higher order, and then like I mean, like what we want to prove. I mean, at least like I did analysis only on this subreddit. This was Street Bets, but also something about politics, European, US, NBA, and NFL. But still, like it depends what you want to show.
Yeah.
So the actual like the dynamics and how it's linked to the network structure. So this is why I was saying temporal networks.
Yeah, no, but that's why I also was saying temporal networks. You let Tim do the higher order stuff, but because I mean it might be. No, I'm kidding.
Yeah. Just one step after like one, or like one step at a time.
Yeah. Otto, you have a question?
I don't know, maybe, can you hear me well?
Yes.
Maybe this is a needlessly complicated and vague, but it just occurred to me that maybe of these higher order considerations of the temporal considerations are not very independent of each other either, because like you might think that the order of complexity at which any of these meaningfully happen, these processes, can also result from the temporal processes at the lower level. And then if you lose that, if you don't have track of what you see, like who said what and who reacted how, you cannot explain how these like higher level processes aggregate and why there's suddenly these coalitions that work as one. If that makes sense.
Yes, it makes sense. Actually, it's very interesting. I mean, I think it's not a question, right?
Right.
No, the question is that does it make sense to go either or, like either focus on the temporal lower?
Yeah. Sure.
This as a static thing.
Yeah. Somehow like to follow the both paths.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yes. I mean, what I can say as a comment to your comment is like I'm open, because like I don't know what is the actual like I don't know what is the actual like solution to this problem. Somehow, if it's a problem, like as I was saying at some point to Tim, like we can try to remove this higher order structure from the tree and to understand whether like the prediction is better. If it's true, you are indirectly showing that there is an higher order structure in the tree. And also like what you were saying about the following the both path somehow relate to this in a sense, like that when you are trying to predict the tree structure, you are following time, so the temporality, and then also like these perhaps higher order things.
Yeah, makes sense. Any other questions? If not, let's thank Antonio again.
Thanks.
Nice seeing you. Did you see what Nico wrote for you?
Okay, thanks.
Dr. Desire in the building.
For 5 times, Dr. Desire was in Oxford.